Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Labs with Librarians. New Hanover County Schools is so excited to welcome Elissa Malespina to our monthly PD event. Elissa is going to be talking about marketing your library. Elissa, welcome and thank you for doing this.
I am so excited to be here with you guys.
Woohoo! Say hello, guys. Hello. We're excited too. Go ahead.
I know, hilariously, I just waved at you even though you couldn't see me.
We felt it in spirit. We're going to mute our microphone here, and then you just let us, I'll unmute it as we have questions, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So, hi everybody, I'm Elissa Malespina. I am the librarian at Somerville Middle School in Somerville, New Jersey. I'm an library administrator. I used to be in charge of about 14 schools and school librarians, but I went back to my passion, which was being a school librarian. Sort of thanks to Jen's help too, because I used to sort of call her and be like, what am I gonna do? And she's like, go back to the library, that's what you love. So I am excited to be with you today. And I'm gonna talk to you guys about marketing your library, ways to do that, make yourself relevant, make others know the good things that you're doing in your library on a daily basis. The first one, and the most probably important one, is Twitter. Twitter is a great way to market what you're doing in your library because it's only 140 characters and you can say a lot. You reach a lot of parents, you reach some students, not that many, it depends on what grade level you are, but you reach administrators and you build a personal learning network. I would never have met Jennifer had it not been for Twitter because I followed her on Twitter. She followed me. I learned from her. She learns from me. More, I learn from her. But I grow and I change because of her and because of all the other librarians I built up in my personal learning network because I'm the only librarian in my school. I'm actually the only certified librarian in my district. So because of that, I don't have anyone else to talk to about what should the next book display be, what should I do if I, about this project, or what do you think about that? I don't have that. So I reach out on Twitter to ask my friends who are librarians about that. So look, Twitter is a great way to not only build and learn from others, but also to reach people. So I have a Twitter account. Right now it's brand new. I am new. This is the first time the school district has had, the school library has had a Twitter account because the old librarian didn't. So as you see, there's not that many followers right now, but I'm tweeting every day. I'm tweeting at least something every day. I also have an Instagram account. Tweeting, I connect the two so that they do that. Have a library Twitter account. Tweet from your library. Show pictures of things that you're doing in your library. Show, when the kids are reading or you're doing a project, show that. But also have a personal account too. Because when you have a personal Twitter account, you can then tweet your own ideas, your own thoughts. You don't have to worry about as much. It connected to the school. And you also can sort of build and grow that way too. But I highly recommend having a school Twitter account. And if you see here, it opens up the doors to your library. If you look at that picture in the back, that's my superintendent of schools. He favored my tweet. He favored what I did. We were talking about how we were having fun using Go Noodle in the library. He saw that. It's a way for them to get to see you and what you're doing and opening up the doors to your library so that they think, oh, she actually is doing something and not reading books all day, which I swear to God, most administrators don't even know what you do all day. So having this Twitter account is helpful, especially if your superintendent or your principal, which both my principal and superintendent are on Twitter. It's a good way for them to see what's going on in the library. Another good thing about it is I meet other people. So we did a whole poetry summit, and my hope is to hopefully do this again this year. We had to take a year off, and we did it all through organizing and publicizing it via Twitter. So we had Hawaii on a Google Hangout. How did we get Hawaii there? Well, I had a friend who's a librarian in Hawaii, and she was able to come on the Google Hangout, and we planned it all via Twitter. And then we publicized it. We used a hashtag. People were able to follow it. And that all happens through the use of Twitter. It's a great, great tool. And it's also a great tool because not only can you sort of tell about what you're doing in your library, but you guys need to be in your schools the one who is sort of the publicity person for the school, because you see everybody. So if there is something going on in your school that's really cool, like here's Gwyneth, and Gwyneth is talking about this egg drop challenge that's going on. You know, share it, be there, share it, tweet it, blog it, Vine it, you know, share what's the good things that are going on in your school. Because most of the time you have a little more flexibility in your schedule to go out and see something and take a picture and tweet it out than, you know, a normal teacher that's stuck with their class. So be where the kids are. That's the second big thing that is important. Be where the kids are. Well, guess what? The kids are on Twitter. I mean, they're not on Twitter as much. Some of them are, but they're on Instagram. So have an Instagram account. Have a, possibly, I haven't done this because I'm in middle school, but think about possibly having a Snapchat account because that's where the students are. So have one for your library. There's my Instagram account. Every day we have a mascot, Woody, and I take a picture of Woody doing things around the library or doing things around the school. So today, Woody was helping get the pre-order forms and to publicize the fact that we wanted our kids to reserve their copy of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Every day, Woody is somewhere else. So we try to make it a little fun, and we try to sort of inform students of what's going on. When a new book comes into the library, I take a picture of it, I put it up on Instagram. What would happen at my old library is as soon as that would go out, the kids would be following my Instagram. They'd be there getting the book before I had even had a chance to process it because I had put the picture up on the Instagram. They loved it so much. Pinterest. Pinterest is an awesome place to curate ideas. It is so incredible. It is helpful. I get so many ideas from Pinterest. If I'm looking for a new library display or a new place, or other information, Pinterest is great. I also curate ideas for different classes. So I have a board that's all apps. I have a board that's ideas for math, a board that's ideas for science. You should be the curator of these and allow your parents to have access to them, to see it. Another great place, see, look at those resources. I have one for the SAMR model, apps. I also, if you see here, when I was at South Orange Middle School, I put up a Pinterest page that had links to some of the famous alumni. So that was a great place for people to learn a little bit more about the school and sort of what was going on in our school or in our district, because I would curate pins like that. We were lucky at South Orange Middle School to have some really famous alumni like Lauren Hill and Zach Braff and Wycliffe John. So the kids actually thought that was really cool because they didn't realize that. So another big thing to do is to blog. There's a great way for you to reflect on different things that are going on and to get your message and your idea out to other people. I have a blog that I do, my own personal blog. I blog not as much as I should, but I try to blog at least once a week from my school blog because I want to sort of reflect on what's happened during the week or let people know about different things that are going on. And a blog is a great way to do that. If you look here, when I was at South Orange Middle School, I decided that I was going to genreify my fiction area. And that I could do this in 7 days. And it was a big school. And I was not so bright in my thought process. But if you read day one of my journey, I started out all like, I'm going to be able to do this. This is awesome. I talk about, what I had done, how I had gone about doing it. And by like day 4 or 5, you start to realize that it wasn't as great as it was, but it was a good reflection. And people still come up to me and say, I read that when I'm looking to genreify my library, because you don't only tell the good, you also tell the bad. So it was good for you to sort of help me realize what I needed. So it's really important that you share your journey and share what you're doing and be honest, because I believe that we as librarians, but we as educators, we always will share all the good things we do, but we don't always share the times when we mess up and how we learn from it, or that we are sort of flawed people ourselves. So when I'm blogging sort of as myself about things, I tend to be really honest and tell it like it is and say, hey, I tried this and it sucked, or this was good. Because I feel like you have to be honest and help others, because we're trying to share our journey of what's going on with other people. The other thing that I found is very great to have is the ability to have 24/7 access to your library. There's lots of ways that you can do this, but we're now in the age where we need to be able to give our children 24/7 access to our library. You can do this through having a library and motto page, or you can, and that was a great thing for me when I was at South Orange Middle School. I had a library and motto page, and it became the place where all the students went for information. It was a one spot where they could go throughout the school, that the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders could go to speak to each other. And we used it a lot in our school. So all of our kids had Edmodo pages for their different classes, but the library was the one where they could all be together. And they would come to ask homework questions. They would be like, if you see this child's here, hey, somebody on team 6B wanted the packet of information, so they would put it up for them. I would share information with them. It really was the go-to place. And it really allowed for this sense of community. Now that I've moved to Somerville, we are a one-to-one Chromebook district. So I've made a Google Classroom. And we're getting there. It's a slow process. I'm posting information when I teach something. I put it up in the library's classroom for them with links to it. So there's a place for them to go. It's a slower process. This school, they're new to using Google Classroom, so it hasn't gotten as much as popular yet, but I think it will get there. But I think it's a great place for you to put information for the students, try to hear from them. Like I have a library survey up now using a Google form to try to get them to tell me what they want. So I think having that 24/7 access to the library is really a good thing. So you need to reach kids, but you want to do it in a fun way. One of the best things that I have found to get kids to reach them, or to reach everyone, is to make memes, I don't know exactly how you call it. So when I would, want to reach the kids and want to remind them of things, instead of doing it in this mean way where it was like, don't do this, don't do that, this is bad. I hate it. As a library supervisor, one of my biggest pet peeves was if I would walk into one of my libraries and I would see signs up that were like, don't eat, don't drink, don't do this. Well, guess what? When you see that, it's not welcoming. And it's not welcoming to anybody that's coming in. So how do we get that message across, but do it in a fun way? Memes is a great way to do this. So this one here, and you can't fully see it, says, SOMS, don't make him sad, return your library books on time. One of my teachers took that when I was in Parsippany, and so she made somebody stole the ball of wax, But instead of getting all mad and being like, this is horrible, you know, we're not doing this, she made a meme that said, we're so sad, our ball of wax is missing. Please return if you see it, no questions asked. Well, guess what? She put those up around the school, and within a little bit of time, that ball of wax was back. But it was done in a nice way so that the kids felt okay about it. Now, S'more is also a really great communication tool. And it is great for doing newsletters that you can put on your website or you can send to people. It's free. You can do, I think, up to 5 or 6 for free. And for not too much money, you can get an educator's account that'll let you have as many as you want. But what's so great about these newsletters, you can embed videos, you have some really nice fun backgrounds on them, you can embed links, but you can also get really good analytics, like how many people have clicked on it, how many links do I have to think, you know, how many people have seen this video. You can do RSVPs to an event right there in the S'more. You can attach it to your website. You can also print it out. And so it makes really pretty posters, and it also makes really nice newsletters that you can email or post on your website for people. I highly recommend it. It's a great communication tool, and it's free. It's basically free. The next one, contact your local media. Yes, you need to promote yourself, because if you don't, nobody else is going to do it. So in the town that I live in, we have something called the Village Green, which is a hyper-local website. I would contact them and give them like, hey, the library is doing this. Or we have Patch 2, which is another hyper-local site. We also have a newspaper. They're always looking for stuff to talk about. So let them know if you're doing something fun in the library or you did something good, because then you get the news out to them. It's a really good thing to do, and I highly recommend it. The next thing I want to talk to you about is doing weekly snapshots. This is something that Nikki Robertson does, and I sort of stole from her this year because I wanted a way to put out there what I was doing with my students in the library. And I wanted to make it sort of fun instead of just this little paragraph that I wrote and did that. So I use ThingLink. And every week on my library blog, my school's library blog, I make a ThingLink. I take a picture of something that's happened during the week, and I have different links. I put a link to my lesson plans that I have for the week so that everyone can see what I was doing. I put different things, like I help the students find the just right books. I would put, you know, different events that have occurred in the library, pictures, images, stuff like that. It's a really good way to reflect on what you're doing. Yes, do I technically have to do this? No, but I think it gets out there that I am doing something during the week. And it shows people that, oh my God, the library does do a lot of things. And it makes you more indispensable. And it helps you then at the end of the year when you have to say, do your year-end reflection, your summaries, anything like that. You now have weekly snapshots that you can go back and be like, hey, it's there. And your administration knows they can just go right on the web and find the answers to these things. They know what's going on every time in my library. Nobody has to tell them. They know. I'm also a fan of the year-end report, because I do believe it's a good way to sort of reflect on all the things you have done in the library and to realize you are more than just that checkout statistic of how many books that went out. You do a lot during the school day. You don't even realize how much you do. And so to be able to reflect, and even if it's just for you and your administration, it's a good thing to have. So I do recommend making up one and rethink it. Make it into a thing link. I've seen people do it as a thing link. I've seen people do it as an infographic. I made mine as an iBook. There's different ways that you can do it, but I highly recommend spending some time doing it because it's a very good tool to have. So another thing I suggest you do is put your calendar online. If you go to my Somerville Middle School Library website right now, you will see a link to a Google Doc that I have. It's a Google Sheet. And I've put my calendar online so that everybody knows what's going on at my library at all times. It helps the teachers because then they can go in and look and see, ooh, she's booked, she's not available then. It helps because then administration knows what's going on in my library, who I've seen, what I've done, and it just makes things easier. Now, I do not make it that they can edit it because I want them, teachers, still to come talk to me. But it's out there, it's open, it's out in the open. This is what's going on. It's as transparent as possible. You want to be as transparent as possible. I love the idea. I haven't done this yet in my new school, but the idea of, say, doing a Tech Tuesday or a tech tip that you give out, some way to sort of share with teachers different little bits of technology. Because really, you need to be the tech leader in your building. They need to be coming to you. I have been in my building for about a month now, and I'm brand new to this building. Today, one of the teachers came up to me, and it was so sweet and nice, and she said to me, I am so happy you are with us and that you are part of our team because you have done so much to help us to understand this new technology, and you have already taught us so much. That made me feel good because I have now become the technology leader in the school, and that's what you need to be, because library is an untested subject, and so you need to make yourself indispensable. If I'm the technology leader and the person they go to with, ooh, what app should I use? What website should I use? How do I do this? How do I do that? Then it makes it so you're a little more indispensable. So be that tech leader, share technology websites, do all of that. In the long run, it's going to be helpful. The next thing, we talked about this a little, but that idea of 24/7 availability. You need to have your website, your card catalog easily available. Have a good website where they have easy access to the databases, the card catalog, the calendar, any of the more important things that you need on your library. You don't have to update it too often, but it needs to look appealing and it needs to be there for the students to be able to use when they need it. So that idea of 24/7 availability is there. There's also this idea of having a library in your pocket. So when I was at South Orange Middle School, I made this little graphic that was a library in your pocket. All of these QR codes took you to different things. And I handed them out to the students and I handed them out to the parents during back to school night. It had the library website, it had a link to the ebook access, to our Edmodo page, our Pinterest page, our welcome letter, our Twitter account. It was all there for them. And it was just a little piece of paper and they had it and they were giving it to them when they came into the library. I sometimes would stick it in their book when I was checking books out for them so that they had a little bit of that library in their pocket. They always had it with them. The idea of that 24/7 access is so important. So displays are also really great. I am not the best display maker. That is why I love Pinterest. I am now the only librarian. I don't have a secretary or anything in my library. My old library at South Orange Middle, I did have a part-time secretary and she was amazing with displays. She did incredible things. I'm not that talented, but I get a lot of good ideas from Pinterest and other, but displays are a good way to get students to read. So this is a display that my teachers did in Parsippany. They made a book tree. They took old discarded books that they were no longer using, and at Christmas time, they built it up, and they made a book tree in the library. It wasn't a Christmas tree, it was a book tree. And the students loved it. They even started, as you can see, the students made snowflakes to decorate it. How awesome is that? Using materials that we already had in the library. Don't think there's not going to be a book tree in my library this year. They also did a book menorah. So they went and they took a set of books that they weren't using anymore. They wrapped them in blue paper and they painted on the little menorah thing, and they went to the dollar store and they bought the lights so that they had a book menorah too. Simple, easy, very useful, and it was all made from stuff that they basically had. And those are fun displays. They get talked about. It was so funny because the book tree display right there, somebody said to me, another friend on Facebook was like, hey, I was at this event and somebody was talking about this book tree that they saw. Is that one of your libraries? And I'm like, oh my God, where would you have heard about this? But people were talking about it because it was such a fun little display. So it's a really good thing. I also am a fan of doing book art. You have all these old books, they're discarded. I give them to my students, I let them fold them, make different things with them. I've also, and there's a big thing on my library blog, if you go to the Elissa Malespina, my website, you'll find that I talk a lot about doing book art. And I use borax and water mix to make these sort of crystallized book pieces that have been a lot of fun. So it's fun to take discarded materials and do something fun with them because you want your library to look fun and exciting. And so that's a way to do that. Another great thing, and Jen's probably talked to you about it, but I'll just mention it again, chalkboard, whiteboard paint really changes up your library, makes it much more interactive. Do something like that. Another great way, inspirational quotes is another fun way to make your library look a little nicer and better. You can get them from Demco and they just go on. You can just put them on your walls and it just changes the look of the library nice, and it makes it nice, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, and it makes things prettier and nicer. Blind date a book is another really good tool that I have used to get kids reading. This one's a little different. This one's a little more complicated, the one that I have a picture of here. What I usually do is I just book wrap some books. I don't even write a little display on them because I don't want them to know. It's like you're blind dating. You don't know what you're going to get, but you have to try it out. I'll just take a little piece of tape and put the barcode on the back of it, and the kids have to take it and at least try it overnight. And I'll mix in new fiction, some nonfiction, some books that short story collections that they might not read. And I put those out. Well, those blind date books always go. The kids love it. And it's a fun way to get them reading. Library lady. This is our friend, Michelle. And she goes to the cafeteria, I think it was once a week. And she would go and bring the library with her to the cafeteria. Well, she would go crazy. And she would get dressed up in different outfits and have different designs. And she would bring the library with them. And the kids just loved it. Now, I am starting a program that every other Thursday, I'm going to bring books to the cafeteria because my kids don't always have a chance to get up to the library. But they're all in the cafeteria for lunch. So I want to come to where they are. So I'm going to do that. I'm not sure I'm going to get as creative as Michelle, but the idea is there to get the kids reading, get yourself out there, and it's a good way for you to connect with students. So go to the cafeteria, leave your library. Another thing that I've seen done is they do a big CSI display in the library, which is a lot of fun. It's like they have these clues and this person died and can you figure out how to make it happen? People really get into doing stuff like that too. Oh, there's the library lady picture again. I forgot to get it out of my slideshow. The biggest thing though, as I sort of come to an end, and I'm going to leave a lot of time sort of for you to ask questions because I talk really quickly. It's all about the students. So how do you bring your student voice into this? This is Nikki. Nikki made up the slide, and she shows different ways that she has done things with her students. They have the kids make the book displays. She takes selfies with them. It's all about the students and student voice and students being involved in the library, because that's the most important thing. So as much as you can, involve your students in the process. You know, if you're looking at what Andy Plemons does a great thing, which I love, that I'm going to start to do this year too, where he sets aside some of his budget money. And these are elementary kids. These are like second, third, fourth graders. And their job is to figure out what books to order for the library. And they have to go and they have to ask kids. They have to make a budget. They meet with the vendors. They learn about, you know, make tough choices as to what books should be in their library. Do stuff like that. That gets the kids involved in being your library and loving the library and loving reading. So I'm going to leave you with this quote by my dear friend, Eric. If you do not tell your story, somebody else will. Unfortunately, more often than not, the story that is told about our schools is negative and ignores the many great things happening within and beyond the walls. You must be the one who tells your story. Nobody else is going to. You have to be that person who is out there on Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, doing that. Yes, it takes time, but in the end, it makes it worth it. I think I am done now.
Thank you. Will you put your camera back on so we can see?
I am gonna unscreen share. Here I am. I know I threw a huge amount at you in a short period of time. I'm gonna put this. It's up on my website, but I'll also send it to Jen so that you guys can have that haiku deck too.
I've already sent it to them.
Oh, look at you!
I found it while you were talking. I've already sent it to them, so they are good.
You are so good.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Which I'm sure they have questions too, but I'm just hijacking it. But in a lot of what you talked about, you shared lots of great marketing ideas. I love that they all involve student engagement and involve students as part of that. I guess my question is, you know, how do you get administrators to listen to all that? You know, you can build it and hope they come, but how do you get somebody, an administrator who is completely engrossed in other issues that he or she feels are incredibly important and are important to understand that what you're doing is important too? Like, how do you get them to follow all of your posts and to be a part of all that marketing stuff?
You know what? The honest answer is, having been an administrator, you might not. And because they're just so overwhelmed and busy, but to have it out there, I think is still worth it. Because even if that your administrator might not follow it, you can always go back and say to them at the end of the year, hey, did you know about my library blog? Look, this stuff's all here for you. Did you see the Twitter account? When you're putting it out there, you're making it open for everybody. You're making it accessible not only for them, but also for parents and other teachers and librarians to know what's going on. In the end, it actually ends up being beneficial to you. Yes, it takes a little more time to do, but in the end, it's going to come out because you want to be as open and transparent as possible. Because yes, that administrator might have 14, 15, 20, 30 different libraries they have to be at, or, you know, observing all these teachers. But they know that, you know, even if you send it to them every so often, look, here's my blog, then they know, oh, this is what's going on. Okay, I can just check on you when I want. And it makes it easier for them to know what's going on. Like, my new superintendent literally said to me the other day, oh, I don't need to worry about you. I know I'll see it on your Twitter account, because there was something going on and I invited him to come, and he's like, oh, I can't make it. He goes, but I know I'll find it all over your Twitter account. It'll be there. I'll see what's going on. I mean, what's better than that? Like, that right there tells you it's worth doing. Does that make sense, Jen?
It does, and I think that's a good point for our district, because even if your principal is not on Twitter or on Instagram or, you know, doing those kinds of things, I can tell you one person who is, and that is Dr. Markley. And he follows all NHCS employees when they, like, tweet to him, and then it becomes real interesting how principals are then sort of interested in what's going on. You see, you know what I'm saying? Like it.
I do.
Yes, we are very fortunate that our superintendent is very connected. He's very active on Twitter and other social media. So sometimes, even if principals feel like they don't have time, the superintendent has time. So that is one way to think about it as well.
And it gets your superintendent to know who you are. I'm lucky. My superintendent at this new school that I'm at now is very involved in social media and Twitter and all of that. My previous superintendent at the other school I was, but my principals and my administrators say weren't. But as soon as he would come, my old superintendent would come into my library, he'd be like, oh my God, Elissa, I loved what you just tweeted about this. He knew who I was. He had 14 schools, but he was following me on Twitter, and he was like, oh, I loved what you just tweeted. I love that picture of you. He knew what I was doing and what was going on. And you don't always get that when you have a huge staff of people that is in charge of you. So having any way to make a personal connection is a good thing.
I agree. Do you all have questions for Elissa? Because I'm going to keep asking them unless you do.
Where you have your blog, is it on your school website?
I have 2 blogs. Let me see if I can show you. I'm going to screen share and go out again. Let's see. So this is my school website. And I literally just made it up not too long ago because I needed a website because we never had one. And I have the blog right here. And it has different things, like this was my thing link for what happened this week at the library. I talk about the grant that I wrote for the makerspace that I won, yay. And then, you know, I talk about different things that have happened in our library during the week. And then I have my one too, which is at my elissamalespina.com. And that one I do, come on up for me. Now it doesn't want to come up. It just randomly went to a page. But that one, if you see on the side, if you go onto my page and it's not all messed up, like it is going really weird right now, you would be able to find my blog there. And that's where I discuss sort of more of the personal things, and I do a little more like blogging about different things that have occurred throughout, you know, different journeys I've taken or more different ideas.
Elissa, do you mind if I add something to what you said?
Yeah, go right ahead, my love.
When I was at Hanover, I had the exact same thing that Elissa is talking about, and I know Joanne has a blog too, off of her school website. So, and I had my own personal blog. And to me, the personal blog was about me, the opinions of Jennifer Lagarde, etc. I didn't mention my school specifically, other than to say we might be doing this great project or something like that, but I didn't really talk about school so much as just my own libraries in general kind of things. But my school blog, my school-based blog, I always consider that like my virtual refrigerator door. Think about if you have kids, where does all their best work go? On the refrigerator door. And if you fill that blog, that refrigerator door, with student projects, virtual projects, print projects that you can scan, blog posts that they write, like book reviews or whatever, then you'll get people to go look at it. Very few people are going to be like, oh, I just can't wait to go see what the librarian has written right now, you know. But if they know their kid's work is on there, then they will go and check it out. And if they know there's a chance their kid's work is going to be there a lot, they will check it out more often. They'll show grandma and grandpa, that kind of thing. And Joanne, you can speak to this as well. At the high school level, I offered the blog as an alternative to my teachers who wanted kids to be able to share what they had read without having to do a reading log, without having to make a diorama, you know, that kind of stuff. They could write book reviews. They got credit for class, but they also got it published on the library blog. And Joanne, you talk about how you use a blog.
Okay. Well, I do have the blog on the main library page, which is like what happened this week and you know, that kind of thing. And then we got the Ashley Reader's blog, which is linked to that, and that's where in the past I've had teachers do, like you said, kids can post like a little form, you know, just like 50 words or less, book review kind of thing, assignment, and then that's also where I kind of highlight new books and book trailers.
And it's linked right off of your webpage, isn't it?
Yes.
Sure is. Okay. Is anybody else doing a blog that they want to share? Okay. Well, that's how, you know, that's how we've done it. Other questions for Elissa? Elissa, I'm going to ask you one more thing, and then I'm going to let you go.
Yes, my love.
1 million tools during a 40-minute presentation. So
I know. I overwhelmed you.
I had the opportunity to visit Elissa. Elissa lives in New Jersey, but she met me over in New York. And I said, we're just going to have time for dinner. And in the time for dinner, we did like 13 million things. We walked 8.5 miles. And, you know, like, Elissa likes to cram a lot of stuff into a short period of time. And I love her for it. So, but
it's a New Jersey thing. Us New Jerseyans, we try to get a lot done quickly.
I like it. So, but I would say that it's also okay to pick one thing and just do it, right?
I am in full agreement with you.
Everything all at once.
I do not try to do that. I do that because I'm this crazy person who, you know, likes to have 100 different ways of doing that. But why I give you all those tools is so that you can get that one idea and be like, oh my God, I want to do blind date a book. I never thought of that. Or, oh, that's a really cool idea. And you might take away one of these things. It's okay. It's really okay to start with baby steps. You do not have to jump in with everything. And let me tell you, blogging is not one of my things that I do the best. So, you know, do I do it? Do I think you should do it? Yes, but it's not like the thing that I'm incredible at. But I want you to know that there are lots of different ways of doing things. And even if you just take one thing away from it, then you've done well.
Very good. Any other questions for Elissa, y'all? Okay, then we're going to say thank you so much. We really
welcome. Chip is going to come and say goodbye to you.
Aww, Chipper.
Say hi, Chip. You remember Jennifer.
That's right, sweet baby. He woke me up at like 3 in the morning.
He probably did.
All right, we will talk to you soon. Thank you, Elissa.
Thank you, love. I miss you.
Thank you. I miss you too.
Bye.